Test. Forgot to update that. We are live, which is good. Okay. I guess we should go ahead and start. It is 7. Um, left my drink downstairs. I will have to go get that later. Okay. So we have Rain Dog versus Rainier Bob. I'll go ahead and start in this game. Let me go ahead and create a review.
Review started.
Sorry, my goal for this review session is I'm kind of gonna glance over the small stuff. And then like for just like you, I will probably point out some mistakes.
Are you talking now? It looks like you're muted.
Am I muted? Oh. Where is the correct? 1 second. Then share indicator. Is that the window? No, that's not the window. Okay. You should be able to hear me now.
Yep, I can. Thanks.
Okay.
Small crowd tonight.
It's usually a small crowd. You are unfortunately a little too loud for me. Okay. Alright. So, this is interesting. Generally, I wouldn't attach to a weak stone like this, especially when my opponent played a 2-space. Generally, the move here is to play high. I can see why maybe you don't. Black will play something like this and then pincer. That's the normal way to play. When you play this one, there's actually some issues with this, such as potentially the crosscut. Black can do some sort of fancy cutting techniques. So like this, black can take and then cut the stones off. So like this really powerful attach that black has. And then here, I still wouldn't attach. I would go for a pincer of sorts. Attaching means like you're saying that this is the strong stone, and the other side can be strong or weak regardless. But when you play with something like this, white gets stronger here, and then white has a few options. I think white can probably play something like this, or maybe just here directly, because when you play here, you can't really get anything in terms of like capturing stuff. So white can play a solid move to fix their shape problems. You just give white Sente, which you don't want to do. I'm assuming in the game that did not happen. This is probably okay, but if I'm black, you're allowing the opponent to play this type of shape. And while white might not play that directly, you still have to answer. And the trade here is good for you, but once you play this one, white just plays here, and if you connect, the question is this shape better than white getting these 2 moves? I'll say no. Because you're just the reason would be is black is over concentrated. You have a stone here. And, oh, hold on. I just noticed that the video is not correctly aligned. So sorry about that. Okay. You should be able to see the whole, maybe not the whole board. I see what's going on here. Technical difficulties. No, it's for recording purposes. For the other people. Okay. Should be fixed now. Continue on. So black is overconcentrated. The stones are not very efficient, and you've given black 2 moves, and they've destroyed a corner, essentially. Okay, so we gone down. This is okay as well, but once black gets here, you're kind of forced to continue this direction, and black can play an attachment. So in the actual game, black attaches here, white jumps out. This is fine. One thing is we might be able to ignore that because we can play a shape move, but I think either one is fine. This is good. I would still want to play this one. It just makes your shape stronger, forces them to play here. And then now, like, you're effectively making black eyeless, or they're going to be super heavy. So you're poking their eyes. When you play here, you're giving them much more eye space to play with. Is this the biggest side of the board? I think this is a very big directional mistake. You kind of have white on both sides here. This is relatively strong on its own. I would just play a move here. If they play here, then you can play this one. And you kind of fill these gaps on one side of the board. But even if my opponent played here, I still think after forcing white to answer, the right side is going to be the biggest. So in the game, white plays here. It's pretty big. Jumping out's a good idea. If you want to protect the stones, this would be the way to play it. There isn't really a big way for black to build upon attacking these stones, so I think playing safe would be nice. If you play here, you still have the invasion you need to worry about, even if you play this move. Essentially, black can play this, and you probably don't want to play a kill. I could go some other direction, but you still have to worry about that. Okay, so black just lets you fix. In that case, this shape is actually a lot better for you. Black did not get a whole lot here. This attack is great. The only thing that I dislike about this immediately is that white gets this shape. And if you jump out, then you're giving white kind of like just the permanent Atari, right? But if you answer, then you're allowing white to attack you. So I would not Tanuki. Tanuki is not good for him. I would answer here, but I think you should just play this one, and then if they play here, you can jump in. Because now you're breaking the vital point or the eye shapes, and even if you'd played well, this one's a little different because you give them this, but here, like now they need to run, and if they try to attack you, you have a way of coming out. So first, break the eye shape, and if they don't answer, say they play here or they play low, right? Something like this. Then later in the game, you can play stuff like this. And if they answer everything and you get to come back and connect, you get this giant wall. If you're really worried, you can come back and connect here. And this extension wouldn't really be a whole lot. So like the attachment's actually pretty good. If they just defend, then, or even if they defend here, like you get to play another big move on the right side. So the shape move here is breaking the tiger's mouth. So I get the crucial Atari, and they get to attack. Now we're in a lot of pain as black. This is a little awkward. I don't know if I would play here because once black plays like this, they're just alive. Well, it's a very sad life, but black would be alive. Uh, Although in some cases here, having this group disconnected from this is fine as well. I think white needs to kind of go for a little bit more, even if the opponent gets to wedge here, right? Because now the opponent, even if they get good shape here, and they get to cut, or not good shape, even if they get to break our shape here, they're coming out, they need to run, and our group gets to come out as well. And you'll notice that this group isn't fully alive either. The only sad part about that group is that we still need to play here, and then they get the turn. But this isn't two eyes. This isn't a living group just yet. So even if they play here, you take the corner. so they still need to run. Uh, but also because like there's not a whole lot with this black stone being there. So we did jump out. We didn't break the bottom. I think if we played here, this would be nice. Oh, I see. They pushed. I jumped too far ahead. This is fine. Atari. I would just. I guess this is fine. So this is technically a bit of a flower shape for black. The only issue is we don't actually have a real good go thread. I think the best thing you can probably look to do is like wedge. I wouldn't have started this co. I think just playing here is fine. If they play here, then you could wedge, or you can play here, right? And if they connect, you can come out. Oh, if you connected, this is too much. I don't know why white didn't block, but this is a big move. Not playing this block is um essentially a big mistake. Because you're asking black to ignore this and fix his group, right? He can even take back, and if you add a move, when he takes, you can still add a move, but then you're more inclined to answer once he takes. So you take and then he answers. That's not a good trade-off. In this case, once we play here, I don't know if black can actually live. I'm assuming that this is going to be an eye, so black can try and taking that, or black can play here first. And if white plays this, then it's essentially a ko for an eye here. So this is big. Black answered, and then white still didn't block on top. We should still wedge. Wedging is very big. First, this group is no longer alive. So, getting this large center, area here is going to be very beneficial for attacking the bottom left. So your points are either going to come from killing this or capturing a large center, even if this group lives. In the actual game, we extended. So I'm not exactly sure what white is trying to do here. If your goal is to take the territory, you might as well just play like this. Right, so even if they play like this, they're going to capture the one stone, or they play here and capture it like that, and then you can capture the territory. But if you're coming out to attack, you definitely need to wedge first. This doesn't actually fix the wedge, but it does mean that we can ignore the Atari. So black lives. Yeah, that's fine. I don't really recommend this. I would just play here. The biggest reason is when you bring these stones out, you're just hurting these ones. So just living here would be fine, and then with this one stone, say your opponent attacks you for any reason, right? Like you have this in Sente, you can actually, you know, threaten to connect the stones up, and like your opponent blocking you doesn't kill this group. So if they play here, then of course this group isn't fully alive, but it is a move that you can play. Now if you play something like this, your opponent may throw in, and you can ignore and give up those stones with something like this, so you're fully connected, right? If your opponent plays here, then now you're just alive. So we can threaten to... We protect ourselves by living, essentially, which is a big thing. I would not ignore this. Even if my opponent gets this nice, lovely shapes, I don't want to allow my opponent to do anything to my shape over here. Like this is forcing. If they play here, this is forcing. Right, this is a double Atari. So like if we just allow our opponent to take on the outside, eventually this group gets in trouble type of thing. I just wouldn't have Tanuki that. This is good. Yeah, white should start here. If anything, white should definitely have started there. So this is a directional mistake. This can be a mistake sometimes too. Like, you're not exactly going to be able to take everything from white like this. So, like, you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't give. Well, actually, your group is alive, so in this case, you can do that. Um, but in cases like this group wasn't alive, you wouldn't want to play that one. White did play that. You took. Oh, why? I don't know why you took. I guess they expected you to play here. Like, yeah, if your group is alive, then they're just going to play this way. But then, like, I have to ask, why are we? Why did we play this move at E11? It's not very helpful. Okay, so to continue the game, Black has kind of lived? Question mark. Connect. Hane's big. You're threatening the so like the territories have been defined at this point, and like the rest of this game is endgame. Um, if we do a quick count with AI, White's winning by 13. I kind of suspected that like this area is pretty dang big, but we also we didn't get to capitalize on anything. So how does the rest of this game go? I mean, I would Atari. You could play this way and squeeze and then extend. So that would have been fun. I think like this, it doesn't matter. White's winning by a lot. Um, Endgame is still there. So kind of just as a beginner, you learn corner side center. It's the same thing with any position in the game, corner side center. Never play for the side. I guess you're looking to cut through, but you know, even if white allows this Atari, you can never cut through this shape. It's just not going to work. And then if you play here, white can capture, right? So I am not exactly sure what Black was hoping for. That's a good crawl. That's not needed. This is big. This is unfortunately big. Turn here is going to be better. I don't see how white will kill. Okay, so in this case, kind of like where it came down to is we continued from this group, and then we just didn't live locally. And then we didn't actually fix this group here. So mistakes by Black is fixing our opponent's shapes everywhere that we went. Right. So the best way to handle this is one, don't fix your opponent for no reason. Two, don't invade before fixing the shape. Right. So again, we're fixing our opponent's shape here, and then we tanuki. At this point, once you've tanukied, you should just tanuki again. Even if the opponent gets an extra move here, you need to continue the trend or just run out immediately. If the opponent attaches or does something sneaky like this, then that's fine. This is along the lines of let them have it, play for a larger side. I think like this, maybe the game is still better for white, but yeah, white plus Komi. But the biggest reason would be over here and the top side in terms of like point lead. But the game basically was over when we tried to play this ko, and we didn't use any forcing moves to do it. Yeah, so here it's kind of a flower ko for white, but um, that's really all I have to say about the game. So we'll go ahead and move on. So now we have Letho versus Yoa. I think in the email it said that both players were around 10Q. Okay, so this is just a game mistake I see people make all the time. When your opponent pushes, so first of all, we only push again when we're going to block the side. We don't push again when we don't want black to get a very strong wall. So black got to Tanuki, and then he fixed the shape, which I guess this is okay. Generally, we'd play something like this, and this is almost the best way to continue. But yeah, we can avoid this by just extending again. Because if we extend again and they play here, now we're not going to answer anything, and we can just double Tanuki. Because it's less powerful. It's not the Hane at the head of 3 stones. Okay, double approach, which is good. The question here is now, what side is bigger? These stones are facing this direction. These stones are facing this direction. We both have a stone on the O line. This area is going to be slightly bigger, especially since it's also on what looks like to be the 6th line. So adding a move here would be very beneficial, or even here. If you're really ambitious, you can try to make a big box. Oh yeah, this feels fine, but I would approach one more. Maybe you're afraid of this. I'm not quite sure, but uh, when the opponent connects like this, we can play here. If they cut, you can just jump, and then later you can connect like this, or you can go underneath. It's fine. This is kind of the Joseki. If you're really worried, you can play here, but we're not really trying to get a giant wall. This is going to be the normal sequence, and this works really well with the fact that black has a somewhat weak group here on the left, and then we're building on the right side. This, yeah, in this case, black is actually applying a really good idea here. Push the opponent towards the wall. So now, you have to make the base here, right? But black can play here, and now the group is super weak. So in reality, you probably want to jump before doing anything over there. Black did play this, but they didn't play here. This isn't needed because the group is already out. We don't actually care if the opponent gets the Hane. We need our group to run. In this case, I think it's going to be a good idea to maybe exchange this once, and then attack the white group from the outside. If you really want to be aggressive, you can attack the white group by stealing the base. And there's no good move for white to um, stop you from stealing the base. The only issue is that they get to run out, and the only thing you get is second line territory. So the better idea would be to just attack from the outside. This is fine. This is kind of, maybe you were thinking about this. This is kind of the idea. Playing here is kind of awkward because you can't really lean on this without giving white really good shape. So you either play here directly, and then white either answers, or they pincer you, and then you can respond locally, or you play one further. So now when the opponent plays here, you can lean on them. You can even go even further. So if they play on either side, you can lean, right? But if you play a knight's move from from a third line, you're going to be in a world of hurt because you can't really find a good move to play. And when you jump out, they get to play an attachment move to connect everything. If you jump down, you're not exactly going anywhere, so they're going to attack you. Uh, that's fine, but when we get to this position, white can effectively separate you, and these stones are weak. These stones have a high stone, but they don't have a solid base, so potentially white can attack them as... Or if white wants to continue attacking these, that can happen too. White extends from here, a little bit slow, but I would have gone for separating the stones here. We should extend, but playing here is fine. The only issue is Black just connects, and you got territory, but black is the outside, which means that we need to break the bottom somehow. Jumping in directly. I feel like if black just plays here, it's really sad life to. I don't even know if you're alive, but um, it's really sad life if you have to live like this. So, for example, so you play here, you get this. So locally, you're alive, but then black gets to break into the corner. So we really need to be prepared when we invade stuff like this. Generally, the idea is we get to play here, dealing issues that uh, black has these stones here that are pretty thick. They're adding a lot of value to attacking the group here. Generally, this is a good invasion point, but at this point in the game, it's better to just reduce. No need to invade. We also have other issues we need to deal with on the top side. This is not a good turn. I guess you're probably looking to attack black. I think we need to do something like this. The turn at the currently the turn right now just doesn't do anything. Black should play here, and I think white can live with something like this, and then black can go on and play whatever they need to. Unfortunately, black answering these gives white essentially life on the top side. Now white has life on the bottom. It's not completely. Oh, we should definitely connect. There's nothing there. I guess we just didn't see the Atari. It happens sometimes. I don't know why white didn't just connect. That's fine. We attach, which is fine. The right side became pretty big after white attaching. Is white fully alive here locally? Well, if we play here, that's Sensei to attack. So we play this one. The question is, I think this is not. Yeah, this is going to be alive for white, so we can't. We're gonna have a hard time attacking that group. At this point, we have this wall here. We have a wall here. We're not really using everything that we can. These 3 stones are not super important, so if our opponent responds, we want to be able to give them up later. But we can't really add a whole bunch to it. Let's see. This is going to be big, so we could do something like this. This is going to be a lot better. White could definitely just detach, but if they play here, then I'm looking to use the shoulder hit here to kind of make shape happen and then block. So with something like this, I can make like a very large center, or I can play here and try to make the center as large as possible. White is winning at this point because black lost all their territory. Essentially, you lost the top side, you lost the bottom side, so the only territory you have is a corner. So the best way to continue would have been to take that. I think we just don't understand some principles here. So we should be connecting here, or we're just not seeing Ataris. In which case, we need to be a little bit more diligent in our visualization. So if the opponent plays here, like at least a cutting point, they can't capture your stones. It also means that there's a double Atari, so they have to connect. You can extend here. Probably this is going to be the better extend, taking the corner. If they connect, you have 2 options. You can connect back up, or you can just take the stone. So also potentially a little bit more reading as well. Okay, so now we're trying something, which is important. It's always good to try stuff. So essentially, black got this move, so we're taking a bit of excuse me, we're taking a bit of territory here, but white gets the move in the center, so we're not taking as much as we could have. So here I would have blocked, and you'll notice that I now have a giant wall surrounding the center. So white actually has really only one way of going in, and they have to go in this direction. So they'll have to like add moves here, and if they're really worried, they'll play stuff like this, and you can cap. So you're gaining kind of a box here in the center. It'll be chiseled away later in the game, but we can make some points here. Don't know if it's enough though. So we got something here. This is kind of where we need to ask ourselves where the biggest side is. We have points that we want to make solid here. This is going to be the biggest area. This side over here, there's a cut we need to be wary about. But we're never going, because of how close these stones are, we're never realistically going to gain a lot of points in this area. So I would have played on the other side. So far, I think white has played very reasonable. Potentially, we don't need to play moves like this. So at this point, we should look at our opponent's weaknesses. This group is going to be relatively safe now because there's no longer a cut. We can poke into the opponent's space here, right? Reduce the largest area while we continue keeping ours, right? So this gives you the maximum point lead. And the attachment's kind of important. I would definitely answer. So this is good. I would have stopped here. White getting so biggest thing is like corner side center. The corners are always going to be the most efficient. The sides are going to be slightly more or slightly less efficient, and the center is going to be extremely inefficient. The only time the center becomes efficient is when you naturally build um, from the opponent's invasions. In this case, we don't really have opponent invasions. The opponent's actually just breaking all the territory that we have. This is a good point to play something like this. Because now if the opponent plays here, we can break into this side. But this is also going to be okay. Simply because you can take this. They play here, this is going to be tragic. Oh, okay. So at this point, white has broken into the center. And really, there's nothing more for black to be able to do. So the thing here is like we need to learn to like let things go. If we had connected here and they played this Atari, right? You could have played this move and then you would have gained some points along these lines, right? Potentially, this would have worked too. So if we draw a proper line, let's be generous here. We would have gotten points along like this type of area. And if let's see here. This is what 10 points in the center, 10 by 8. So this is not it's not 80 points. Because this is uh 16. It's probably a little bit less, so I can round that number up to. It's probably closer to 60 points than it is 80. But you could have gained 60 points here, giving up a few points on the side. Big thing here is kind of understanding the strength of our groups. this whole top side and like the Joseki here, kind of bad. So extending is going to be the better move. And then when we're attacking, if our opponent, if you play this way and our opponent doesn't answer, we need to attack the weak group severely. This is going to be the best way to attack it, even if they get here. If they play the Atari, we can ignore it. It's fine. It's absolutely fine to ignore the Atari. I wouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't, but if they take, right, they can take stones on the outside, but we can capture the stones here. If we connect, that's fine too. We can go underneath, right? This group is still hurting for 2 eyes. It's not fully alive at all. And then later in the game, biggest thing was we didn't really attack this group severely. You attacked this one, which is great, um, but we didn't take the base. So when you're attacking a group and it's surrounded, you need to take the base. The other thing is this group is surrounded and we need to take away the base. This is probably the biggest thing of the game is we left our focus and we didn't attack the group that shouldn't be invading. Otherwise, I think White played pretty solid game. A few things is, keeping the opponent separated. After living with this group on the top side, this was big. And from here, I think White just played pretty well. So let's move on to the next one. We have Michelle or Mitchell. I'm probably saying the name wrong. And Padrigos. I think that's Emmanuel. I did review. Okay. So this should be a fun game. Very classic opening. No problems here. Very solid way of playing. I think 2 space is fine. 1 space is probably okay, but the follow-up is really nice. But this is fine. This is a little odd. If we're talking about protecting here, right? Playing this move is going to be very big. If they play here, you still have the slide, right? If they play here, now you have a solid move, so like you don't actually care about the peep anymore. If they try cutting, like that's fine, but in the end, the group is getting attacked, right? This is very troublesome for black to be giving up stones like this and giving white too much, right? So the group will be attacked, and then you're just going to be able to play thickly from this. Honestly, you can probably just pincer, because at this point, maybe not. I don't know if I like this move, though. Black just blocks. Yeah, it's like black played here, and your move was to play this one, and then you need to follow up somehow. So we did pincer, that's fine. I would just go low anyways. Because black is going to play this big wall. So let's just say we live like so. Black plays the Atari, fixes his shape, allows white to live locally, which means, we have to fix on the outside somehow. So black gets this nice, massive wall. 15 doesn't need to be played right here. But the issue is that even if he does get this nice, massive wall, we have a peep here. This group is fine. Big thing here is that the left side is actually on the third line, so it's too low. It's too low for black to be able to use this wall to attack anything. In the game, we gave up the stones. Black got a nice group. Not recommended. I think we can go ahead and play this one. Thing is, if black plays here, we can just crawl out and we're attacking these stones. If black extends with us, we're just going to capture these stones, which is not good for black at all. This is super good for white. And here we probably want to peep first and then play here. If they play this one, we can still play here. This just adds a little bit of help to our stones. Black jumps, or white jumps. Is that the biggest move on the board? So if we're worried about our group, we should peep first, force them to connect, and then Tanuki. Because if we're trying to build points here, it's not really going to work. It's too small. If we want to reduce, we can do it with 3, which is nice. Biggest thing would be just adding another move on the bottom. Bottom's going to be like the biggest area. I would say black adding move here is fine, but a big move here with this group being so strong is just adding a move. Now it's actually really awkward for white to just block here, because now black gets a really nice base here. You can even Tanuki now, because what you've done is you've disrupted the flow of the bottom. So once the bottom is broken up, there's really nothing much for white here, other than to attack the stone. If they attack the stone, that's fine. We have a strong group real next nearby. We can also play something like this if we're not really worried about this group here. So we can play this way to make the left side a lot larger. We can also play here to just make our group solid. And it's kind of white's 2 corners versus black's 2 corners and sides. In this case, black is actually now building a box, so that's why this move is so big. So like this, even if they play here, we're slowly forcing black to like get pushed in here. And what that means for us is when we do stuff like this, right? Black plays like this, we can play the Hane. Let's say we don't enter that. For the sake of what I'm trying to point out, notice how instead of black coming out this direction, sorry, let's do it this way. Instead of black coming out this direction towards the center, they're forced into the side, while we are also going that direction, and we've kind of made the center large. The only issue with this is if we were 2 lines to the left, this would make sense. The reason it doesn't make sense is because, well, look at what black is actually getting, right? If we consider what black is actually getting here, right, it's this whole corner. This corner is very, very large. Okay, so we invaded. I don't know if invading is going to be the biggest move here. Things you can do is play something like this. One issue with that would be like this move. So black doesn't actually care about these stones. The top left is going to be bigger, right? So maybe we need to be a little bit more aggressive. So we can play with uh, the dog's face in the corner, and we essentially get our opponent to choose what side they want to pick. Right. If they play here, we're going to attach and try to attack these stones. Left side isn't like super big, but if they add another move, like they get a decent chunk of it. So this wouldn't be a bad idea. If they play here, we can push once and then knight's move. And what we're doing is we're just reducing. Black can have the small points here. This is fine. They can have the small points here. They can have the small points here. The thing that we don't want is we don't want to give black like this large chunk of area. So playing the reduction game is also good. You don't have to play that move either. If black plays here, it's actually not that good of an idea. I imagine black either fixes somewhere along the line of trying to attack like this, in which case you can push and then run out. You also get the chance of attaching, so attaching is fine. You can attach here. If like this, we're just going to eventually give up 1 stone. But if we attach, we can also play this way. So black is probably going to end up sacrificing the corner for no reason. I didn't check if the ladder works, but I'm assuming it might. Yeah, ladder works because it hits here. Otherwise, if this stone wasn't here, it would have hit this and it would have worked for black, right? So black can't really play the Atari down. So they can play here and then pincer. But then you can reduce like this. So push and then come through. So that would have been one way to handle this. Jumping in here, this isn't needed. I would have just jumped here if the opponent played this way. Now I would have just jumped out. Uh, big reason is just that top left is huge, right? Sure, we give white b3, which probably isn't a good idea. You can also get in this move, right? Only issue with that is white can actually still ignore, but you get to attack on the group coming out. If they do answer, then you get to come back here, and you don't have to worry about the bottom left group. And if they continue running, this kind of just feels really bad for black. Chances are, though, white is going to use this as a chance to kind of connect their group up with some way somehow. And you can kind of see like they're forming like this large area, but it's not going to be a big deal because we have our own large area. We've taken corner points away from our opponent. We can even play lightly and just reduce on the outside. This should be broken. Oh, okay. I would have just played here. So with something like this, we can play here and then attach. They'll take the one stone, and then we can play the Atari, and then you're free to bump, break points, whatever you need to. I think at this point, this would be enough for me. I would look to do stuff like this, break the top side. The unfortunate thing is black playing here didn't make a whole lot of sense. I would have played this one. What this does is like if the opponent plays here, now you can push and cut. Because while they can play here, you have the supporting stone, and white's in a bit of trouble. So white generally will play something like this, and then later there is this cut. What does this cut do? Well, white would either have to give up. White probably has to give up these stones. Otherwise, they're going to be fighting to save them. Maybe it's possible, but with that cut being there later, I wouldn't fully recommend it. So potentially you end up doing something like this, and then white's not very happy with what they're getting on the outside. So in the game, white crosscuts. Crosscut, huh? I don't know about that. Because once black connects, right, you're answering here, and you're potentially taking away this stone. Maybe it's okay. I guess if you're still alive, it can be okay. I think we need to answer locally, though, but that means black is going to be somewhat happy about their shape. Obviously, losing the territory is not a good idea. But with this, you connect, and black extends out. So black saves the territory, right? They cut the stones off, and then you need to figure out what you're doing with your stones. So you probably need to run, and then black captures. You could play this way. Does that work? If black extends out like this, this will work because you're breaking the shape. The issue is that when black plays here, do we take? If you take, I think this is acceptable because black can't play here without these stones dying, so they'll play this one. And I guess we enter like this, and the question is, do we gain anything? I think we might be sealed in if we play that way. So you play here, black breaks through anyways, white will peep, and then you're kind of like stuck in trying to find how to make two eyes. So essentially, like, it's just not a good idea to try this. Jumping out is fine. So this is a technique that you usually do not here. Um, Normally you have like this large, like a good example would be, let's do it this way. A good example is like if you have this type of shape, you would make this and then come back. Sometimes it's 3 and then white gets this turn. Like this is the type of shape that you would make when doing that. But in the actual game, this is probably not the shape that you want to do it. So either you should push or slide. If you're going to try and cut him, I think you just need to break the shape. Only difficult thing is like breaking the shape like this means you're giving them the first move on the bottom. So potentially you should play here and then jump. I think this would be the way to do it. The potential issue is the push and cut. And I say that because I don't know if we can handle this. Yeah, we can handle this. So essentially, oh no we can't. I don't know why I thought we could. We can't do that. Yeah, there's some sneaky Tsujis, especially if they play here. Like you get into this position and then it's a ko. This isn't going to be a very fun place to play. So like this move is actually pretty good. I think we just need to accept that we should slide, and then you can pincer. So if they play here, you just take the points, and if they don't connect, then later you can cut them. Otherwise, we just need to be patient as white. So black has this really large area. We have somewhat of an area here. We would like to get another move going to make this even larger. But let's see how the fight turned out. This I wouldn't really recommend. Um, so here's the thing. While it looks like the corner is alive, we are cut, which is true. I think it'd be more important to push here. Make sure that our group on the side just doesn't die. So like if we play here, they get this big move, and then we need to figure out how we're connecting up. And I think we can connect up like this, no problem. But it comes at a cost. It is a pretty big cost. We are losing a lot of points on the side. And if we don't answer 13, maybe that's fine, but that also is another cost that we have to answer. So if we extend to 13, that means we get attacked on the bottom, right? So as black, at some point, we probably should have realized that we needed to jump. So maybe there is something to it with white. This is a nice attack. I probably would have played here and gotten the free points. Because if it's the same thing, you're going to potentially get Sente here, right? If they extend, we might actually have to answer that. Otherwise, we just leave it for opponent to take later. You also get to choose which way that this goes. So, for example, this is mostly Sente. The issue is that later black can descend and these stones will die. So once black has attached, they're more or less alive. We take that Sente and we attack the bottom. This is super greedy. I just take... Oh, this is probably a better order. I just take... If they play here, then we can capture the stones. I don't care if you want them. The corner is bigger. right? Actually, you can probably just connect up with something like this. If they continue with this one, then you just take the corner for free, um, which isn't very nice. Okay, so black is more or less dying. We needed to connect. Absolutely needed to connect here. Uh, First, we can actually play here and then live. This is fully alive. And we get to take. Black needs a move here, though. I guess he doesn't, actually. But black needs a move here. I think, yeah, with this, black is going to be alive, and if we play from here, black does owe these types of moves, though, so yeah, it's kind of a trade, but you get to live locally. Here, I think we should just, can't even play there. I'm really surprised we did that. I guess it doesn't change anything. Unfortunately, we can't fight that group. So we attack the bottom. This is all very forced. I would have. So one thing is, so the big thing, like when it comes to fights and like as you become stronger at Go, we really need to realize that we should not be creating weak groups for no reason, right? Just extend. Why are we playing the Hane? There is no world in which we get enough liberties by extending that this group will die. Sure, we might get a squeeze later, but it is not worth this being cut off, or these stones being cut off. So white's playing pretty well, capturing those stones. Don't need to answer this. 100% don't need to answer this. We should be trying stuff up here now, right? If they play here, then we can break in, right? Otherwise we capture, so, they continue playing this way. More issues, right? So essentially, black needs to jump, uh, and then we can maybe do something there. I'm unsure, but the center is also very large, so we can make these exchange. Throw in kind of like a peepstone or something like this. Force the opponent to connect up. Uh, and here we can block. Right? However you want to block, you can block. And this large center is big. The bottom is super big. I think in this case, white's probably going to be winning, especially if they block in the center. Even game. Black is winning by one and a third. So maybe there's a more efficient way of handling this. White by Comey, so this left side is going to be bigger than this side. Okay. Extending there kind of hurts, but I guess I see where you're coming from. A lot of endgame here. If we had made this P first, that would have been nice, right? Because now you can do this. There's no way black is going to answer that, yeah. We should be playing this move. The opponent is going to have a hard time playing this, because then we can capture. Really nice Tsuji there, right? So they have to figure out what they're going to do here. Pushing from behind like this is very, very painful. I think at this point you need to focus on living. But so the other thing is this is also painful because black just lives. So black breaking out here is rather unfortunate, right? It also means that this works? Question mark. I don't know if this is what black was aiming for, but black forcing this is pretty big. Although it looks like it barely doesn't work. But we can play here. What does this do? So white play this one here. Black will squeeze, squeeze, and then black plays here. So white is actually in a lot of trouble. B17. I don't know when you said that. In this case, we don't have the ladder. That's a pretty good move. I don't think we can salvage this. Unfortunately, actually no, this would not work for black. Black would have to play here and play this one. It doesn't work. This is problematic. I mean, besides the center dying, like, this is very problematic. Oh, we made a big mistake. We had to play here. Yeah, black giving all these points is not good, but I don't believe this is going to work. So there's another strong player in chat. He's saying B17. But these stones are more or less dead. I guess you could threaten this. That's not gonna work. You'll have to show me later. I don't see it. But yeah, so white actually got something really nice here. Yeah, this was a bit greedy. If we had squeezed first, this would have been big. So black made a mistake here. They should have gone for the squeeze. Even if the opponent went for the one stone, it's not a very good squeeze for them, especially when you can break out. So we kind of lost liberty here, but I think we should have continued attacking the opponent. Maybe from here. Kind of like everything is almost sealed up. It's basically endgame at this point. This group won't die. This group shouldn't die. Um, but like the biggest area here is kind of sealing the area, and almost fixing the issue with these stones. So this move is going to be big, so you can potentially cut here, and then cut here, or peep and peep. Make the center a lot larger. And then, unfortunately, both players made a mistake here, and white got captured.